Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Castello Show. We are coming up on Match Week 20. I am Brian. I am here with the co-host John. We got a bunch to get through this week. Let's start with Atlanta United, Toronto FC, 2-1 with maybe my favorite game winner of all time. So I've seen that goal before. If you didn't see it, you really got to go back and watch it. But basically, Gavran makes the save. He lays on it. He's trying to waste time. And he just starts walking up and he tells everyone to go. Striker standing behind, he gets water, he's standing at the goalpost, and he just sneaks up behind Gavran. When he rolls it out, stolen goal. Now, Bradley Ray Phillips talked about it and how he's tried to do that a bunch of times.
Unsuccessfully.
Right. And there's two reasons that it doesn't work. Either the crowd goes, whoa, look, and that's when you're in an away game.
Which they wouldn't there because it was in Atlanta.
Or it's the Toronto defender's job.
Which one guy did. Did you see that one guy?
And he was way up the field.
Yeah, and
no one heard that guy.
And you couldn't hear him because the crowd was loud.
But here's the other thing, and I get that Gavran's young and all that. If I'm a goalie and there's no time left, I'm not putting that ball on the ground. And everyone said he should check his shoulder. He should punt the ball.
I don't
why
know
are you putting the ball on the ground?
I don't know why they love to play the ball off.
Do you know what I think it is? It takes an extra 2 seconds.
It doesn't matter, though. The game was over. The game was over. He didn't need another 2 seconds. But yeah, people get stupid.
They get so, let's waste every second we can, that they're not thinking of, it doesn't matter that you saved 2 seconds. Just get rid of the fucking ball.
But there's no reason to put the ball on the ground. For me, as a keeper, ever. If you always punt it, you never, ever, ever have to worry about who's around.
The only reason I understand, if you were going to put the ball on the ground, the whole team went up, and then you've looked around, there is no one for 30 yards. I'll put the ball on the ground, and I will wait until one of those strikers starts to move towards me, and then I'll hit. I can see that, because you can really drop, I
could hold the ball in my hand.
Well, yeah, but you could save 20 seconds doing that if you put it on the
20 seconds.
I don't know how long a striker would take, but dude,
that's it. Up. It's literally only going to be another 5 to 7 seconds.
Yeah, who knows?
But not just the keeper. Everyone in soccer, head on a swivel, look around you before you do anything.
No, that's crazy. And I've never been able to do that to a rec goalie. I've tried it at the lowest levels of soccer, and I don't get it.
So, here's the one thing that's bad about this whole thing. That everyone is punishing this keeper. Nobody's congratulating.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things. He had to think about doing it at the time. He then had to hide.
Literally.
And his timing had to be perfect.
No, yeah.
He had to be exactly the right distance away, that once it did go down, he wasn't too close that he knew he was there, but he was close enough that once it went down, he could get to the ball and beat him. And then he had to go ahead and do that and beat, everything was perfect.
Not for anything.
And he's not being congratulated enough.
Yeah.
Everyone is killing the keeper. And why do we need all the defenders to go up?
Yeah.
Why do you need all of them to go up? What are they doing? They're not. Why isn't anyone being closer? Yeah. Well, who then probably would have heard him if he was yelling, "Hey, dude, don't put the ball on the ground."
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this. So, the shot itself, the net's open and everything, but that ain't that easy of a shot. He made a full 180 to hit that ball.
Everything was perfect.
That's hard.
Everything was perfect on his end.
Now, the other part of this is everyone's shit on Gavran. This happens somewhere every 2 years. Now, we might not know about it because it might happen
they play soccer in
might
every
happen
country
in Croatia or whatever. But this happens at the top professional level a lot. It's happened in the Premier League. It's happened in the Brazilian Serie A. It's happened a lot of times. I remember when I was a kid seeing a Ronaldinho highlight that was the same exact goal.
Right.
This isn't. Gavran's not the first person to fall for this. I don't think he'll ever fall for it again.
No. This is the thing. You fall for once.
Yeah.
But I do love that it was against Toronto. Like, I love
Yeah.
that so much.
Well,
It's
it is funny. I was
fantastic.
listening to Extra Time, and oh god, I feel bad not knowing his name. Not Andrew Levy, the other guy that's on Extra Time. He said,
He's like Irish or something.
no, that's Kevin O'Toole. It's not Kevin O'Toole here. He's an American dude. He's not on anything Apple TV, I don't think.
Gotcha.
But he was talking about that. He was like, when I was like 12, I was thrown out at first base on the hidden ball trick.
Yeah.
And he was like, I have thought about
I
the
did that
hidden
to
ball
people.
trick since then. He was like, I've never forgotten that happened.
The key to the hidden ball trick, you are not allowed on the mound without the ball as a pitcher.
Yep.
So the key to the hidden ball trick is to walk behind the mound, squat down, like you're getting your composure, you're getting psyched up.
Yeah.
That's the key to the hidden ball trick.
Yep. But he said, he was like, Gavron, when he's 85 years old,
He will remember.
he's gonna
100%.
wake up in a cold sweat. Like,
It's true, man.
no,
It's
yeah,
true. When you have such a bonehead play, you remember it forever.
Well, and I will say this. So any dropped points is bad, but you go from a draw on the road where you're kind of happy to get a point to a loss, which is kind of what I would have predicted it. There are worse games this could have happened in, I feel. Now, it's at the last minute. It's really a horrific fashion for this to happen in.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
it was
like,
now a loss instead of a draw.
I also, it could happen in the playoffs, and it didn't. So, in the grand scheme of things, as much as it sucks,
Probably couldn't happen in the playoffs to Toronto.
no, they'd have to get in the playoffs. But I don't think it is going to hurt them as much as it is embarrassing, if that makes sense. Like, even though this really, really sucks,
Right, but
the true outcome of this is a 1-point difference on a
The-
team that needs way more than 1 point.
it's also a team that needs to not be embarrassed anymore.
Yeah, no, that's true. This is a moral defeat. I will say that.
Yeah.
Next up on the list, New England Revolution. Going 1-up on the Crew in like the 20th minute and then losing 5-1. Which, I mean, honestly, this is about what should have happened. 5 is a lot.
100%.
Now, Cucho was awesome. He was pretty ridiculous. I mean, the whole team was.
He's
really
ridiculous every game.
Camacho with a goal. I mean,
Morera with a goal.
Yeah.
2 defenders.
a whole team thrashing against New England Revolution. I don't. So here's the thing, because I think a lot of people are going to go, and no Carlos Heel, right?
I
Let's
don't know
see.
that.
Yeah, I'm not seeing him. Bobby Wood did play 8 minutes. He's back.
Yeah, it looks like Heel
Yeah.
didn't play.
No Carlos
So
Heel.
then you definitely should not have expected them to be in that game.
So, and here's the thing, because like New England, yeah, they turned the corner and everything. This game shows you how much there is to go for them. Like they're not
Right.
at the top.
Well, everyone's like, oh, 4 in a row, New England's back. No, they're not.
One of those games-
Columbus just showed you
well, and you beat Cincinnati
with
and
a totally depleted defense.
right, but you beat Cincinnati with no defense, and then who else? I didn't feel like it was an impressive 4-game streak. Like they were beating. I need the actual teams in front of me. I should have pulled that up before I started this topic, if we're being honest. But let's see if I can get just those 4 games. So
last week was Columbus. Before that was at Cincinnati, which we were just talking about.
won 2-1. They beat the Whitecaps 3-2.
And
They beat the Red Bulls, missing Forsberg and Morgan 1-0. And they beat Nashville 2-1. Like, these are not impressive wins.
No.
I understand it's 4 in a row, but...
and Nashville might not have had Zimmerman or Shaq Moore, depending on when that game
And by
was.
the way, the 2 wins that were wins, the Red Bulls, you're missing their 2 best players. And Cincinnati doesn't have a back line. Like, those don't count to me. So I was not shocked by this. And I hope most people weren't. They've turned a corner at all, but it's still the Crew, man. They're the next level of this league, you know. Next up on the docket, I'm gonna go back to my overall here. So we had Inter Miami 2-1 over Nashville. Gressel is back. Also, that Jordi Alba goal was ridiculous. Off the chest,
Yeah.
the volley. And Gressel hit the crossbar, too. He could have had a pretty ridiculous goal.
Yeah, and he's got 4 goal contributions in the last 4 games. And
Yeah.
exactly 1 in each. It's not even like he had 3
So,
in 1 and the rest were nothing.
Miami definitely more sure at the back. Now, it is against Nashville. Nashville's not exactly a high-powered offense here, but they looked good. I also felt like I feel like I'm missing something from the strikers at Miami right now. And not to say that they're bad, but like your 2 goals are Jordi Alba and who had the other goal?
You know who didn't have the other goal?
Ian
Messi
Frey.
or Suarez.
Yeah, well, Messi and Suarez.
So
didn't
I
play.
don't think that Miami has anything to worry about with their forwards.
No, and when those 2 guys come back, they're fine. Ian Frey, he's a defender, and then Jordi Alba is a defender. Which, by the way, Ian Frey, I heard on the wrap-up, 3 ACL surgeries, and he's still back.
Good
and
for
he's
him.
still scoring. That's
a good story.
So yeah, shout out to Ian Frey. He rules. He's not even in the fantasy game, actually, because he was injured for so long that you can't pick Ian Frey.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
But, I mean, Robert Taylor doing nothing, really.
He hasn't. Like, he is... And
Yeah.
there was a couple of weeks where I really liked him, and he did nothing. And it's
Yeah.
like, no, don't ever take Robert Taylor.
Leo
He's
Campana.
terrible, at least fantasy-wise.
Leo Campana had 4 points. He had 8 key passes. That's where his 2 bonus came from.
4 points without any goal contributions isn't bad.
No,
Because
but
he's going to get goal contributions.
yes, it's just odd to me that Julian Gressel, Jordi Alba, and Ian Gray, who are all on paper defenders. Now, Gressel's not a defender. He's playing way up the field.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could see that one counting as an attacking player if he, scored. But still, it's just odd that Campana, Kremeski, and Gomez really were not impressive at all. Like, I felt like their job was to just be decoys and
So now,
keep people in the
I
box
didn't
so Jordi
watch
Alba had space.
the whole game, so I don't know. Like, we're just looking at stat lines here, so it's tough to say they didn't. And you do have forwards that run guys off to create space for the other guys, and hey, that's a big deal. And it's kind of crappy that nothing shows up on the stat line.
I felt like
that.
they were very good at that. Like, they were marking Campana. That's part of why he didn't score, is he didn't have that many chances. And what was good about that was they're all worried about Campana and Gomez, and now Jordi Alba's 30 out with a mile of space,
yeah.
So in some ways, what they did was good. I feel like...
And teams might now adjust, not put everybody on those forwards. Now they'll have some space.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully what they can do... Well, not hopefully. I mean, I don't want Miami to win.
Not
but
even a little bit.
From Miami's point of view, hopefully what they can do is get Jordi Alba and Julian Gressel to be better distractions. They were really good about that in the beginning of the year, and I feel like Jordi Alba and Gressel really weren't putting up a lot attacking-wise. If they're distracting, you're creating space for Suarez and Messi.
They can also wait for the Copa America to end and get back Messi and Suarez.
Right, but if Jordi Alba and Gressel are a threat, and then Messi and Suarez come back, well, who the fuck are you supposed to pay attention to?
Alba's been a threat all season.
Yes. No, he has.
I mean,
Gressel has been disappointing, but Alba really hasn't. I mean, he's done his job.
And honestly, when they go back to their real lineup, I bet you Gressel disappears again.
Yeah, definitely
in the stat line.
Right. Definitely possible. And then next up, so Vancouver Whitecaps 4-3 over St. Louis. I wasn't really going to talk about this game. Brian White hat-trick, which was awesome.
Except I had gold.
Yeah, that does suck. Now, by the way, if you didn't see I want to say it was the second goal, that, like, scorpion flick thing that was completely on accident. But no one was more surprised that went in than Brian White. It's still one of the coolest goals I've ever seen in my life. That ball went so high on this, like, pretty arc, and there was zero chance of that getting saved. Plus, it's a real striker's instinct when the ball ends up behind you to just throw your foot back. Just try and hit it somehow. So I did really like that goal. I thought it was cool. But the reason this is in the headlines for us this week is St. Louis City is under new management as of Monday morning. I don't know that this scoreline was really the nail in the coffin. I'm sure this decision was kind of made.
I'm sure it was. I don't know the inner workings of St. Louis and any of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But You're talking about a team in their first year ever existing, came in first in their conference.
Yeah.
Then the next year,
Supporter Shield contender.
yes, the next year, they're disappointing. And compared to that, every team but one will be disappointing.
Yeah.
And they didn't have Leuven for more than half the season.
Yep. No, that's
Maybe
true.
we're putting a little too much on the coach.
For sure. Well, and what's funny is, and here's part of the thing that I not even don't like about the MLS. I guess just don't understand about the MLS. I don't fully understand who's making transfer decisions. Because I feel like in the Prem, it's mostly the manager. That's who sets the targets. That's who's looking for people. He's maybe not the one doing the
Yeah, and there's a
negotiation or
sporting
whatever.
director, too, which is like the equivalent of a GM.
But in the MLS, the sporting director, I feel, has a lot more pull than they do in other like they're
right.
Like,
I mean, if I'm hiring Jurgen Klopp, he is going to not only be the coach on the field and in practice, but he's going to have a big,
and it's part of how you get a coach like
that.
Yeah,
He's going to have a big say.
Yeah, I'm giving you the control because they don't want to coach a team that they don't get to design.
Right, like Bill Parcells. Do you know his quote?
I don't know the quote, but I know that he is like that.
If you're going to make me cook, at least let me get my own groceries or something like that. It's something along those. I totally screwed it up, but it's something along those. How can I be cooking if I can't even buy the groceries?
Makes sense. No, and
and in the NFL, that's not common, actually.
Right.
You know, and so he was one of the first guys to actually
get involved like that.
And to that degree.
Yeah. But here's what I really think about St. Louis. So João Klaus is a name, but João Klaus is not, I mean, he's not, Olivier Giroud or Lorenzo Insigne or, keep going down in tier. João Klaus is below them in terms of quality. And he's the biggest name on this roster. I mean, Lovin's good, but he's not Lucho. They don't have a star. And I feel like last year...
I feel like Leuven is, but... And actually, do you know who else is?
He wasn't before St. Louis, though.
Yeah.
St. Louis is what made him a star, and if you put him on another team, I think he falls behind that. I think part of it is he's the guy for them, and that's why we all know him. But there are a lot better midfielders in the MLS than Edward Loven. I don't think he's even in my top 10, And maybe if he played all season, I would think differently.
I think he's in my top 10.
I don't know. I mean, he could be.
But he's not.
He's not definitely not in my top 10.
Right.
He's definitely not in my top 5.
Me too.
But they need more talent. Like I don't know.
I think that's an MLS thing, though. Outside of your few teams.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Charlotte, who we root for. Who is on Charlotte?
No, yeah, there's no big names. Ashley Westwood is your biggest name. He's the only guy that
He's the only guy that I ever heard of.
Yep.
Before they were on Charlotte.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I heard of Scott Arfield, but I didn't really think much of him.
Yeah.
Not that I thought bad of him. That sounds bad, but
yeah.
I would never go out and get a Scott Arfield jersey.
No, well, and what's funny is Liel Abada, I knew that name, and I am very happy with that signing. He's the biggest signing Charlotte's ever made, and I still feel like there's an echelon above him that is very attainable in the MLS.
You know who we forgot about?
Huh.
Fuchs.
Oh, we love
their first signing.
Well, he's gone now.
Yeah.
So that's
why we forgot, because it was only the first season.
No, but he was Premier League champion.
Yeah.
But I honestly, before I get rid of the coach, I get a fucking 10. Why don't you have a number 10?
Yeah, no, I mean, you know why? Do you know why I think so many of these teams do this? And it's not just the MLS, and it's not just soccer. It's easier to get rid of the coach than to revamp the roster.
I also think it's easier to explain to a fan base.
I don't think that's what... If you are running
no, that's not how you make a
team,
decision. But
you
it
shouldn't be.
I don't think it's not
Brian Cashman never takes into account what the fan base thinks.
Yeah, I also think in a league like the MLS, other than your LA Galaxies and your LAFCs, you're trying to grow a fan base still.
You are. St. Louis, though, right off the get-go, was a pretty big and dedicated fan base.
Part of that was
from the jump, man.
That they we're winning so much.
No, like the first game, like from the get-go.
Yeah.
Like, it's a soccer city.
That's
They've
true.
been dying for a team. Like,
I think when you have a league like this that is so growth forward, that's really their goal right now, is to get more people watching. It is easier to say, we got rid of the coach and now everything's going to be okay.
but
Than
then
it
it's
is
not.
to go, this
But then
team
it's not
needs-
okay. So now,
Right.
when it's not because of that one decision, now what do you say? Now
Right.
you have no trust at all.
No,
And what's
yeah.
funny is,
You got to backpedal.
that is not the first coach that I would have thought of. I mean, what about Peter Vermees? Like, that guy,
No, yeah, there's...
how is that guy still hired? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. No, honestly, if...
Like, the St. Louis coach was not even on my radar. Now, the
Yeah.
San Jose one, he
kind
was.
of expected that, yeah.
And they have good players, too.
Yeah, no, they do.
I mean, they have good players, too. And they hemorrhage goals, man.
Yeah. No, but
So-
if I was St. Louis, honestly, I would have given him through the summer. I would have liked to seen what he does with one more transfer window. Or what happens with one more transfer window. If it's not his calls,
Yeah, and for
Who's
some
making
people,
the
I
call?
think that hey, let's give this guy this transfer window to get what he needs with the new guy. That happens
Probably.
too. And I get that.
yeah,
train
well,
of
and you
thought.
also, now, okay, the transfer window goes, we still suck. Does any coach want to come in knowing they can't make adjustments till the winter now? You
Right.
know, you might make it a harder position to fill at that point.
Right.
But I just feel like he deserved a little more time. They didn't get any big signings from
what
last
they
year.
did last year has to hold some sort of weight.
Yeah, no, they way overperformed last year. And they didn't make their biggest signing was Durkin.
Yeah.
Who I'd never heard of. And his name is Durkin.
Yeah.
Regardless, if he was literally Lionel Messi caliber and his name was Durkin, that would be odd.
So I Googled Parcells' quote. If they want you to cook the dinner, at least they ought to let you shop for some of the groceries.
Yeah,
So that wasn't even full control.
right.
He just wanted to shop for some of the groceries. Great
No,
quote.
well, and definitely MLS managers have a say, but they're not the end-all be-all like they are in other leagues sometimes.
Right, and it's still an American league. They're definitely not in Major League Baseball, like not even close.
Right.
The NFL, a little. I think they're in the draft room and things like that, but not nowhere near the degree
Well,
that.
and part of the difference in that to me is you're not a coach in soccer. You're a manager.
Right,
That's a different role.
but in baseball they're called a manager.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
Football, they're the head coach.
Yeah. Well,
So.
in any case, the St. Louis coach is neither now. He
Yeah.
is no longer a manager nor a coach. So I'm sure we'll see him pop up at some other MLS
He's still
team.
probably getting paid.
Here's the
though.
thing. They still won the conference last year. He'll get another job. I'm
yeah.
not worried about it. And then the last game I wanted to talk about here, LA Galaxy destroying the Earthquakes 3-0. And the
New coach's first job,
Yes.
first game.
and that's a rough first game, huh? LA Galaxy.
It is.
But here, the reason I
And
wanted
he
to
was
bring
like,
this up.
yes, Pooch is hurt.
Yes.
This is going to be great. It's at home.
So, no Pooch. Still kind of a routing here. Goals from Cuevas, who's a defender, Painsel, and who had the other one? Peck? Now
Jovic.
Jovic.
That, rebound goal.
Yeah. Now, Pooch did play 35 minutes. This week, I expect him to play full-time both games.
I do, too.
The LA Galaxy is not less scary without Ricky Pooch. They're really not. That's what I learned this week. Now, they played San Jose. That's a poor back line.
But I think they are. No, I think he makes them go.
Something about Jovic, Peck, and Painsel together. Like, they're attacking on all three.
Well, what's funny,
fucking
though,
lanes.
is Painsel's the midfielder, and you think that he would be the kind of takeover for Pooch, but it's actually Peck.
Yeah. No,
he
Peck
plays like a 10.
Peck drops into the space,
Yeah.
and that lets Painsel run past.
Yeah.
But I honestly think that's more confusing on a back line.
Probably.
I'm the center back. I'm supposed to be staying with Peck. This guy's checking in, so I follow him, and then Painsel, who's got jets on his fucking
Yeah.
back, is just gone
Yeah,
behind
he's
me.
insanely fast. And Peck is, too. Did you see that transition?
Dude, they can move.
Woo!
No, this LA Galaxy
They
team,
got down the field.
they're really scary. So we're excited for
El Trafico.
that's coming up. So we'll see. I'm hearing a lot of LA Galaxy, like, the city's ours again. We're gonna find out. Now, should we get into last week's fantasy teams?
Yep.
All right. You want to start with yours?
Yes. So, I had a 99, which in some weeks I would be happy with that score. I really wasn't.
Yeah, there were big points out there this week.
Yeah, and I made some bad decisions that cost me. And not just, like, Ryan Gold was in my starting lineup.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to be on my squad, period, whether it was in my starting lineup or my bench. And Brian White got all the points, but I knew Vancouver was going to score.
Yeah.
And I just thought Gold had to be involved. So that wasn't a decision I was unhappy about. But there were decisions that I thought one way, changed my mind.
Right.
And the first one was right. And that's why I was really mad. What was good was, this was one of the few weeks I actually cared about my head-to-head. Because I played Caleb, who's in first place. He was a game ahead of me.
Yeah.
And I beat him 99. I believe he had 94. So we had a lot of the same players. There was just a few differentiators. We even had the same captain.
Yeah.
But those few differentiators worked out in my favor. So I was pretty happy about that. I'm still in second. We're tied. We're both 16-3, I think. But I guess he has the tiebreaker, which on the season, I'm 2-1 head-to-head. But that's not the tiebreaker. I think the tiebreaker is team value. So his team must have more money than
Which,
mine.
by the way, is the most ridiculous tiebreaker. I mean, I could see you doing it by points for. I could see you doing it by...
It should be total points for or head-to-head.
Yeah. No, I'm cool with either of those.
It should be one of those two.
Even though I think point differential is stupid because you don't have an actual defense.
Right. That's why I don't like...
I could still even see that
but
as
here's
a
the thing.
tiebreaker because that's what regular soccer does.
But
to go by team value.
So, as far as point differential goes here, you might have had some losses because you got unlucky and when you played people, whatever.
Yeah.
So now the total points for is the separator, that combats that. So now you're bringing that back again. I don't really like that. I think head-to-head or total points for, either one of those is a good...
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm cool with either of those. But,
but I'm pretty sure it's total value. I looked it up. That's what it said. So I am trusting that the site is correct. But so I'm still in second. But at least we're tied now, which is good. I'm playing Mike this upcoming week. He's sitting in fifth. Mm-hmm. He's a game and a half behind you.
Yep.
So you probably want me to win this week.
Yeah.
So as far as my guys, so I loved Ryan Meara this week.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Red Bull. Playing DC, period, then they're playing DC without Benteke.
Yeah.
And they let up 2 goals. And so fast. Like we were at the Charlotte game, and already it's 1-0, and it was like the 6th minute. And I was like, what just happened? And originally, I had Tolkien, and I don't even remember who my third defender was, but I took him out right before kickoff and put in Dylan Nealis. So I had the keeper, and 2 of my 3 defenders were Red Bull players.
Yeah.
So that was awful. Mir only got 2. I wound up then putting in Fry in the starting lineup because I always put my first goalie on the bench in case. And he got 3, so it was an improvement, but not much. Just like every other week, keeper and defenders are really bad and hurt my score.
Yeah.
So I had Brooks Lennon. He had 4 points. I actually had a lot of confidence in him this week. And it's funny because Brooks Lennon is towards the top. If you look at fantasy points on the season, I'm pretty sure he's in the top 5 in defenders.
Yeah. 100 total fantasy points on the season.
Yeah. And I generally don't like him. But I liked him this week because I thought he could get attacking points. And then there was the possibility of a clean sheet but I was more into
Yeah.
he didn't get the clean sheet. He got 2 bonus points. He got 4. But again, whoever I tell you I love this week defensively, avoid them like the plague. It's insane. So, and then I told you I had Tolkien and Nealis and why I love them.
Yeah.
I had 2 Salt Lake guys as my scrubs in my 5-3-2. So that 2 of my 3 bench players, the best 2 scores out of 3 go. So my midfield, I had Gold, Evander, and Acosta on the field. Evander was great, like he always is. He's a every week play for me. Acosta's an every week play for me. This was a down week. A lot of people had him captain. I was mad because it's the second week in a row that I thought, man, I really should captain Cucho, and I didn't.
Yeah.
Now, the previous week, Cucho still would have been fine. Acosta was better, but only by like a few points. But this week, it was 14-point difference.
Yeah.
So that would have been huge for my total score. A lot of people now are down on Acosta. That's crazy to me. He's still an every week start for me. And if he just came off a bad week, I love him even more the following.
Well, and we say a lot of people are down on him. He's owned by 41% of the league.
Yeah, but people might not have done their lineups yet this week.
True. As of last week, 41% of the league had him.
But who knows? Maybe it was 55 before that.
Yeah, no, true. I mean,
then, like I said, I had Gold. So on the bench, I had Bogusz and Espinoza. I actually expected a lot more out of Espinoza. He was pretty disappointing, too. I did not expect the Galaxy to have a clean sheet. And Espinoza is very involved in a lot of their goals. So I expected a lot more out of him.
Yeah.
With the new coach and everything. There was just a lot of elements that I liked him. I didn't like him more than those 3, but I expected more than 3 points. Bogusz has just been a stud lately. I've been on Bogusz a long time. Everyone is now, and they like him this week. I actually don't like him this week. I don't like the matchups.
Yeah.
Not saying that he's going to just lay down and die. I just like other guys better.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's probably an okay play. I don't think it would work out terribly. There's other guys that I think have a bigger upside right now.
Yeah, me too. Up top, I had Bouanga and Cucho on the field, and then I had Joveljic on the bench. I actually did consider Brian White. The reason I didn't, with no Puig, I thought there's potentially more upside for Joveljic. That I thought LA was definitely scoring a lot of goals against San Jose, which they did. And Joveljic had 1. And then I thought Gold would. That was my Vancouver guy, and I didn't want to just overload Vancouver.
Yeah.
So I also liked Musa, but then he didn't start. So I think I actually had him, and when he didn't start, I pulled him and put in Joveljic. So I'm not really sure why he didn't start, and I feel like that's a game they could have and should have won. And didn't because they scored 0 goals. They lost 1-0, and they scored 0 goals. And Musa didn't come in until like the 60-something minute. And after it was a response, maybe the 56th. Maybe that's why I'm getting the 6 mixed up. But it was a response to the goal that Cincinnati scored in like the 47th minute or something like that. And guess what? Now it's too late. So not really sure. They're not in any other tournaments. I don't know why he's a forward. I don't know why you have to rest him. This was a winnable game in a team that now seemed to be getting some momentum, and from him. And then he sat, and you could have attacked this team with all of their defenders out.
Yep.
I actually expected him to have a big week.
That could have been a real statement win for them.
And I thought that he was going to score, and then Cincinnati was going to have to respond, which is why Acosta was my captain.
Yeah.
So that was my players and everything. I was 21st on the week with Charlotte fans, but I did move up a spot to 9th, which was good. I need one good week to get into like 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
And I really like to be in the top 5 soon. One seems to be getting out of reach now.
Yep.
But top 3 to 5 is still in reach. But I really got to start making a move. Like, I consistently have good, not great weeks. The previous week was really good. We didn't have a show because we just had too much.
Yeah.
But I think you and I had like 225 and 224 and 224 and 223, something like that. Which were pretty strong. Not near the strongest, but pretty strong. And we both did move up quite a bit overall. But I need to start really making jumps to get up that Charlotte one. Overall, for the week, I was 1,117th, which moved me up one spot to 432 overall. So still in the top 500. Really would like to start getting into the top 300. But that's going to be a multi-week jump to get to the top 300. I could get in the top 400 next week, without a doubt, because there is, with 18,000 people, there's a whole bunch of people tied in all of those spots. So.
Yeah, no. A 5-point difference could be 100 spots sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially if you're way down the table. As you start going up, those gaps get bigger and bigger, but...
for you...
Yes, so last week, 98 points. Not unhappy with it. 22nd in the Charlotte week rank. I'm 17th overall now. I would like to get to that top 15. I was 16th last week, so I dropped a spot. Top 15 possible. Top 10 I would love, but I don't know if that's really going to happen. League rank, I did go up. I'm in the top 1,000, 947th. Top 1,000 was the goal, so now keep moving forward.
Make a new goal.
I'm in the top 5% of players now, which is really my goal is to get into the top 5% of overall, and ideally I want it to be in the top 3% of Charlotte. So I'm happy with where I'm at right now as far as overall rankings go. I did win my head-to-head, but I played Bullet, so that hardly counts. As far as the team itself, so definitely bad decisions on the back line. Originally, I was going to go with the Red Bull keeper. I ended up not doing that, and I went to Takioka because I thought St. Louis just isn't going to score goals. That is not how it worked out. That he was already in at that point, and I just couldn't do anything about it. So Takioka with 1 point. Dylan Nealis and John Tolkien, we both had him. Then I had... So, Nolan Norris, he was supposed to be one of my DNPs, and I checked, who's played what. He played, so he had 1 point.
He screwed me earlier in the year when he was supposed to.
So, Nolan Norris did play, and that made me move some things around, so I had to take, I want to say Camacho is the defender I ended up taking off instead of the Red Bull guys, because I was more confident in their clean sheet, which they didn't have the clean sheet, Columbus. I was right about that, but then Camacho fucking scored. So, that would have worked out better. But, it's fine. I would never, count on points from the back line anyway. Through the midfield, I had Acosta, Bogusz, and Evander were on the field. Captained the worst one of those three. Honestly, if I captained Bogusz or Evander, I would have been thrilled. So, it didn't work out great there. But, Santi Rodriguez and Cole Bassett on the bench. Santi was the one who ended up going in. I was pretty confident with Santi, actually, and I wanted him on my bench because he was in that first game, but I figured he would have a goal or a couple assists or something, and that's exactly what he did. So, very good there. Up top, I had Kucho, Bouanga, and then Joveljic on the bench, Joveljic subbing in. So, overall, pretty happy with it. Different captain, could have been a different story, but... on the whole, not upset at all. As far as the Dream Team goes, which we really don't cover the Dream Team ever, but I did want to this week because it is a weird fucking Dream Team. So, Steve Clark in the net.
That's not that weird.
No, he gets it sometimes.
Yeah, and he played Charlotte, so.
Tim Leibold.
He had a goal.
Yeah, but I haven't seen that name in a long time.
And a shutout.
Right, he had both.
Yeah.
Mickey Yamane, which, he plays a lot of games. Usually you'd go Yoshida over Yamane, but that's not that crazy. And Yoshida still at 8 points, by the way. It's not like he did a... Michael Dos Santos, who we used to love.
Loved him earlier in the season.
And we just stopped playing him.
I stopped playing Houston players.
As a whole, that's true. Well, this week it worked out. Steve Clark and Michael Dos Santos.
Yeah, usually your defense does well against Charlotte.
Yep. Caden Pierre also from Sporting Kansas City, who I've never even heard of.
I have not either, but that's what happens when
Yeah.
you get one of the few clean sheets of the week.
Yep. Then through the midfield, Bogic, Evander, those two make sense. Rusnak, who I feel like used to make the dream team a lot. And
and Rusnak, I've played him a couple of times this season.
I haven't really played anyone from Seattle because they just scare me.
There's a couple of times when they have a good matchup and they're the right team to play.
Yeah, well, and I gotta say, I loved Jordan Morris last year, and I got very down on him after like 4 disappointing weeks in a row where I was like, this is the matchup.
Yo, do you know what Jordan Morris does? Jordan Morris has 4 great weeks in a row, and then you're all in, and then he just lays down and dies the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And I don't know what sparks those few weeks, but it seems to happen. This is not the first time it seems to have happened, actually.
No, he's very hot and cold. And honestly, he was hot and cold on the U.S. national team. I mean, that's how I learned who Jordan Morris was.
I knew Jordan Morris as a U.S. national team player before Sounder. Although I remember when he got drafted.
And then up top, Brian White and Cucho Hernandez.
You didn't talk about Bryce Duke.
Oh, yes, Bryce Duke.
Do you know why, though?
Of Montreal. Why?
Shown years on international.
True. Yeah, which
That's
leaves Bryce Duke to do everything.
Yep.
And which goal and an assist. That's a good game. And then Brian White and Cucho up top.
Those aren't crazy.
No surprise.
You don't see Brian White a lot, but
he's done it before.
Yeah, and that's not a surprise, especially against San Jose.
Well, and honestly, here's the thing. I don't think you're gonna see a big Brian White game for a while now because let's see.
I think
so. He went on a good little run here from week 7 to 10. He had 4 games in a row with a goal. And then week 11 against Austin to week 18 against the Portland Timbers. His highest fantasy week was 4 points.
No, he does disappear. That's why you're better off not taking him. And you know what? There was weeks he did great, but Cucho was just as high. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I actually said San Jose was St. Louis, the other terrible, terrible defensive team. So
yeah. Well, and by the way, I mean, part of it, you can chalk it up to matchup a little bit. I mean, St. Louis is not the greatest defense of all time, obviously, but he had 1 point against the Timbers. He had 2 points against the Revs, 2 points against Sporting Kansas City. Like, matchups are not always the formula with him either, you know?
Right.
It's truly random whether or not Brian White
Right, and that's a guy you want to avoid in fantasy when it's so random.
Yeah. So now let's talk about next week. John, you want to do the team breakdown?
Yes. So for me...
Oh, actually, hold on. Before we do that, sorry. We are officially into Champions League Qualifier 4. So last week was the first week.
Yeah, it was not. You don't want to start.
No. So right now I am at 1183, which I'm not loving. I mean, here's the thing. You got to get to the top 50. You need to start...
You need to start strong.
Going, because it's only 6 weeks.
So unless we have 2 or 3 super strong weeks in a row, we're already done.
Yeah, and so right now, like I had 98, you had 99. First place is 141.
Yeah.
Right now to get to 50th is 118 points. So we're
already trailing almost 20 points. You are trailing
20 points back exactly. You're 19 points back exactly. Yeah. So it's gonna take a decent amount to get up there. It's one thing that I hate about the Fantasy Champions League is it's not head to head. Like, this could be bigger. 50 players.
It's supposed to be a Champions League though.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's 54 separate times, so they're giving you, and I like that because you get to reset.
Yeah.
Oh, I started not strong. You get to reset. Some people don't even start at the beginning of the season.
Right.
They still have a chance. So I actually like that and the reset.
I do like that.
Because you're talking about 200 people overall.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be the Champions League.
I do like that, but hold on. Let's see, just because I want to make sure I have the exact number right. So, 200 players qualify. So you have to be in the top 0.01% of players.
No, the top 0.01.
Oh.
The top
have to be,
1%.
Yeah,
the top 1%
of players.
The 1%ers.
Yeah. No, but 1% feels low. Way more than 1% of Premier League teams makes. Now, that's the Premier League. They come from all over the world, whatever. But still, it just seems like, because there's no maximum amount on how many people could be in it.
Right.
It could be 500 players. I don't think that would be unreasonable.
No, I don't think. I think you need to keep it at the top, and that's it. And you need to earn getting in. So I'm really fine with it.
I don't hate it. Really, if I qualified, I would think it was awesome. That is the difference maker here. I am never going to be in the top 50, and that's why
I don't know about that.
This season it looks outrageous.
Oh yeah. This
Let's
season,
see.
me as well.
Next year, who knows?
Yeah.
All right, so now we're ready for the team breakdown.
Okay, so just a double game week again.
Yep.
So teams not on a double game. No one is on a bye, but teams not on a double game. Charlotte, they are only playing Wednesday. And then Austin, Red Bull, and Seattle, they are only playing on Saturday. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for potential scrubs and you're not sure if you want to scrub, you might put someone in. Seattle's probably your best team because they don't play until like 10:30 on Saturday. So you get to see Wednesday games, Thursday games, and most of your Saturday games.
Yeah.
You're just missing those 10:30 Saturday, and then what's on Sunday? 3 games?
Something like that. Let me get the schedule.
Sunday has 6 games.
Yeah. So
and
Saturday
Seattle,
and Sunday are big.
Yeah, Seattle.
Thursday has 3 games.
Yeah, Seattle Revolution. That is the only 10:30 game. So you're really only missing the 6 Sunday games if you go with Seattle scrub. And my keeper on the field is Seattle's $4 million keeper, by the way.
Gotcha.
So that's your double game week info.
Yeah.
Double home. Colorado, Columbus, Galaxy, and Real Salt Lake. 4 pretty strong teams to have double homes.
Yes.
And you will see that in my lineups, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Double away, Atlanta, LAFC, Miami, Nashville, and Vancouver, which is one of the reasons I'm not as high on Bogusz and Bawanga as I normally am.
Mm-hmm.
So Bawanga especially, I think he has 1 goal on the road this season and $1 million at home. Yeah. So now El Trafico is at the Rose Bowl. It's not a true away game, but still.
Yeah.
I don't know how. There's a lot more seats, so I don't know how tickets work out. But theoretically, it would be LA Galaxy season ticket holders, so there should be more fans.
Right.
But that's also a 100,000 seat stadium, so I don't know what they open for this game. But big games, that's one of them. That's on the 4th of July on Thursday, which is awesome.
Yeah, that is cool.
And in the Rose Bowl, that's if you are into the MLS at all, if you're a soccer fan, you should watch that game.
Yeah.
And what else is going on the 4th of July as far as soccer games? That's
well, and it's really
fantastic.
Smart from the MLS to make this week spread out.
Oh, the 4 days is awesome. And it's when you're getting a lot of downtime from Euro and Copa America, not all of those days.
Yeah.
But now you have soccer every day.
Well, and what you're also getting, and me and you are both unemployed at the moment, so we're not getting this as much as other people are. But, people take off for 4th of July week, Especially when it's on a Thursday like that. You take Thursday and Friday,
Wednesday
now you
is
got a
only
long weekend.
These are all night games.
Yeah. But you're really...
Yeah, you could stay up. And,
you got a whole week of soccer now. It's really well timed by them. I thought this was cool.
And people that are now maybe are not as into soccer, but are getting into the Euro with the big names, and then Copa America. And now all of a sudden, hey, there's MLS games on too, which I don't know if Fox has any of them. They're not going to subscribe to Apple.
Yeah.
Because of that. But if there's any, you would think there's some Fox games, especially on Thursday. And there's really should be 1 on Saturday and 1 on Sunday. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that there is. But that would be smart on MLS's part to start getting more fans in. They think they've reached the pinnacle, and I still don't get that. And why they are not trying to get games out more to get more fans. But, Garbage the best. Saturday, Cincinnati, Miami. That would be a bigger game if everyone was playing. Mm-hmm. Robinson should be back. But you're still going to have all your Miami guys still away in the Copa.
By the way, we didn't talk about the U.S. national team at all. But I do want to point out, they lost to Paraguay. And then they had to beat...
No, Panama.
Panama, sorry. They lost to Panama. By the way, who cares between those? Neither of those are even.
You know who's on Paraguay?
Someone good, actually.
Miguel Almiron.
That's true.
Former MLS player.
That's true. I loved Almiron, too.
Yeah.
He was awesome. But he's the only player from Paraguay I've ever heard of. Now, they lose to Panama. They need to beat Uruguay with Darwin Núñez and Luis Suarez, and everyone still
Suarez
thought
came off the bench really late.
Like,
he hasn't played much this
they
tournament.
still thought they could win. I don't know where this belief is coming
So I
from.
will say this, as a fan, as a player and coach,
You have to believe.
yes, and I got to tell you, there are games that I have played and coached in my life that we really had no chance, and still going in, I was like, we're going to win. This is the day we beat them.
Yeah.
So you players and coaches should think that. If not, then you shouldn't be on a team. You shouldn't be an athletic.
Analysts and fans. I mean, there are a lot of analysts that I saw, like,
Yeah.
this is for all the marbles.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, this isn't a real game. And you all know that. It was 1-0. The U.S. never looked threatening.
I was actually surprised that that Uruguay came out and physically beat them up because I didn't think they had to do that.
No.
I thought, you're the better team. You don't have to be over-aggressive. But the U.S. laid down and died.
Yeah.
Which was not – this is not the toughest American team. You know,
Yeah.
there is no Clint Dempsey on this team.
Well, and it's one thing I always loved about the U.S. is there was a Michael Bradley or a Clint Dempsey or someone who was just tough as nails.
Yep.
And they weren't even really that.
Yeah. Guys that could have been hockey players
Yeah.
if they grew
And
up on the ice instead of...
Clint Dempsey was an awesome striker, but there were a lot of players on the U.S. national team that their job was not to be good at soccer.
Dude,
their job was to defend the
I
guys
love
that
Clint
were
Dempsey
good.
because Clint Dempsey, one, was a winner. He would score a goal
Yeah.
when you needed a goal. But Clint Dempsey was not... You know, the American view of soccer players, you know, is weak and all of that. They're not tough. And
Yeah.
Clint Dempsey was the antithesis of that.
Yeah.
He was what an American soccer player should be. And the American team still doesn't have an identity. That should be the American identity.
Yeah.
Is grit and tough as nails and all that. It's our identity and a lot of other things. Clint Dempsey personified that. And
I
still love him. Love him as an analyst.
I don't think... I mean, I don't even know if he would be interested in this, let alone U.S. soccer. I think Clint Dempsey having some sort of coaching role in the U.S., maybe not head coach. I mean, he's not a coach right now, so that would be hard to just make him the head coach. But he needs to be
No, not a
around
head
that
coach,
team.
but yeah.
What I feel is the glory days of U.S. soccer is Clint Dempsey and Josie Altidore as a strike partner.
Which is sad because this is supposed to be the golden generation, which how many times have teams been named the golden generation and been successful? How's Belgium
Very
looking?
few. Yeah, really. Well, and you send all these guys over to Europe, and now they're going to be awesome. They're not, other than Pulisic, none of them are like the guy on their team. I mean, Tim Way is a development player still over there. Like, none of these guys are like...
Yeah, McKinney plays.
Yes,
I mean, he's a starter.
They all
I don't know if he's the guy.
They're all middle-of-the-pack European players now, which that's better than can be said of the Americans before them. But I think them being in the MLS, the MLS is different from these other leagues, and they were...
Well, it happened some of them. Look at their bench. There's so many MLS guys on the bench, and they never get in the game. Like, the United States soccer is so against players that play in the MLS. You got to send them to Europe. Now, I think there are benefits to that.
Mhm.
Pulisic is probably a better player for playing in Germany, for playing in Italy.
Yeah.
You know, but there are defenders that should have been on that field.
Oh, yeah.
That didn't play a second. Miles Robinson,
Yeah, no.
Shaq Moore, these are real players. Like, and they didn't play a second in the entire tournament.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
And one thing I feel about the MLS, and it's really the only true advantage of playing in the MLS over Europe, like, yeah, the skill level and the tactics or whatever may be a little behind Europe, but the MLS is so physical. It is way more physical than a lot of leagues in Europe. Now, not all of them. The Premier League is tough.
And it has the travel that these continental tournaments have.
Right. Like, there's a lot in the MLS that makes you hard to play against for someone that's used to playing in France or used to playing in Spain, where you can just fall over.
This Charlotte team has to go play in Austin and in Houston. They already did.
Yeah.
In June and July. Those are not indoor stadiums.
No.
In Texas. So it's a 3-hour flight.
Mm-hmm.
And you're playing in sweltering heat and humidity.
Yeah. No, it's a huge deal. And I really think if you want the American national team to be good,
I think you need a combination of that.
You need a combination.
European and American
They
players.
need to be
a team.
And they need to be tough. They're not tough.
No, they're not tough.
They're young.
And I'll say
they're
this too.
Skinny. They don't have an
I also
enforcer.
don't think they're a team.
No, they're individuals.
I'm not a Berhalter fan. He shouldn't have been rehired back. And I forgot the guy's name that did, but he should be on the chopping block right now. And he's staying with him. Like everyone is saying, he's staying with him. Today's Wednesday morning, okay? So this game was 2 nights ago. Berhalter and that guy should have been gone once that game ended.
Yep.
Okay. This is the biggest summer of American soccer ever coming up in 2026.
Yeah.
Now, some of these analysts were talking about, is 2 years enough time? That's bananas to even have that. Is 2 years enough time?
Yeah, that's crazy. How long do you need?
Right. Get in a real coach.
Yep.
A real coach. By the way, an American coach having success that, for some reason, the U.S. soccer system has never really been a fan of. Jesse Marsh, how's he doing with Canada? A team that wasn't supposed to be good as the U.S., and they've moved on. So, I mean, you have people here, but, I mean, I've heard people throw around Jurgen Klopp. Now,
I would love Jurgen Klopp.
If I'm Jurgen Klopp, I have zero interest in that job. I mean, really, I have zero interest in it. But, first of all, what he could do, okay, and second, if he did, and that American team was successful in this American World Cup, he would be a god.
Oh, yeah. No,
American soccer fans.
All of Europe already loves Klopp, and a lot of
Americans already do.
Yeah, no, he would be a very well-received hire. I think most people would be very excited about that.
Yes.
And I mean, not for anything, that golden age of U.S. soccer we were just talking about, that's Klinsmann. That's another German.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he would be a great pickup. I actually, before you said that, I was going to say Klopp is at the top of my short list.
I'm going to write an article on our site about this U.S. team and a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably write it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Be a good 4th of July read about
there you go.
An American team. So if you want to hear more on that, go ahead and check that out on the site.
Yeah.
And then this way we can move on back to the MLS.
Yes.
So let me tell you about the teams that I like. So defensively, I like Columbus, double home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They are also 4th best in the MLS defensively at home. They are allowing 3/4 of a goal per game at home. Additionally, they're playing Nashville, who is scoring 3/4 of a goal per game on the road, which is 2nd worst in the NFL. Mm-hmm. 4 of their 8 road games, they've been shut out.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Then they're playing Toronto on the weekend, Columbus. They're scoring .82 goals per game on the road, which is the 5th worst in the MLS. 5 of their 11 games they've played on the road, they've been shut out.
Yeah, that's rough.
So I'm all over Columbus defensively. Schulte is by far my number 1 keeper.
Yep.
Which means don't take him. He will not do well. He will probably let up 8 goals in these 2 games. Next, I like RSL, also double home. 1 against Houston, 1 against Atlanta. RSL is allowing .89 goals per game at home, 6th in the MLS. 4 of those 9 games are clean sheets. Houston, actually pretty decent at scoring on the road. 1.67 goals per game, and only been shut out once. But Atlanta is scoring .78 goals per game on the road, 4th worst in the MLS. 4 of their 9 road games, they've been shut out. So that's more of a play on RSL's defensive ability. and then it's a play on that second game. If you get 1 out of 2 clean sheets, that's a good week.
Yeah.
For defenders or your keeper. That's all you're looking for. If you get 2, I mean, that's gravy. So, Colorado, also double home. One against Sporting Kansas City, one against St. Louis. Colorado's allowing 1.33 goals per game at home. Not that great. 2 out of their 9 home games are clean sheets, but both of those 2 in the last 4 games.
Yeah.
They're starting to put it together. Sporting Kansas City is just over a goal a game on the road, 9th worst in the MLS. 3 out of their 10 are shutouts.
Mm-hmm.
St. Louis, they're actually scoring a good bit, almost 2 goals per game on the road, and only 2 of their 9 road games they've been shut out, but both are in the last 5 games. And no Klaus for 6 weeks.
Right.
So I like Colorado as well. All right. So attacking, also mostly double home. I got 5 teams I like attacking. That I'll talk about. A few others that are also good. First 4 are all the double homes.
Mm-hmm.
So Colorado plays Sporting Kansas City and St. Louis. Colorado scoring 2 goals per game at home, which is 7th in the MLS. Kansas City's allowing 2.1 goals per game on the road, 4th worst in the MLS. St. Louis is allowing over 2.5 goals per game on the road, 2nd worst in the MLS.
Wow.
That's great matchup attacking-wise for Colorado. You got to have Colorado players in your lineup. The Galaxy, they're playing LAFC and Minnesota. Now, Galaxy's almost 2.5 goals per game at home, 3rd best in the MLS. LAFC, they're pretty good on the road, allowing 1.67 goals. Allowing 1.67 goals. Minnesota, though, is allowing over 2 goals per game on the road, and they're 6th worst in the MLS. Columbus, Nashville, and Toronto, they're playing. Columbus is scoring 1.75 goals per game at home. And I think that's skewed low, mostly because of the CCC. They're doing a lot of scoring recently. They have their full lineup in. Cucho's got like over 14 points a week in the last 4 consecutive weeks. Nashville's allowing a goal and a third per game, which is okay. Toronto is allowing 1.73 goals per game away, though. So Columbus, pretty good matchup. RSL, that's the 4th double home. That's the 4th attacking team I like.
Yep.
Houston and Atlanta. RSL scoring 2.22 goals per game at home, 5th best in the MLS. So these are like the best scoring teams at home. Yeah. All have double homes. Houston's allowing 1.44 goals per game away. Not bad. But Atlanta is allowing 0.89 goals per game away. Best in the MLS. But if Iran goes back, I still like RSL.
Yeah.
So Cincinnati, they're the only non-double home. They're in D.C. and they're hosting Miami. They're scoring. They're scoring a little less lately, but they're still scoring over a goal and a half per game. Overall, home and away. Mm-hmm. D.C. is allowing 2 goals per game at home, 3rd worst in the MLS. Miami's allowing 1.4 goals per game away. So I also like matchups for Sporting Kansas City, NYC, Dallas, Portland, and St. Louis. So those are the teams I like. So let's talk about your upcoming lineup and selections.
So I've got Schulte queued up to go in the net. He's on the bench right now, but I have Paul Walters in from Cincy. So it'll probably be Schulte. I really don't see changing that. Backline, so Camacho, Eneli, and Yoshida are my 3 that are going to play, and then I've got 2 Charlotte guys as my DNPs. One thing I will say, on a double game week like this where you have Wednesday night games, if you do the DNP auto thing like we do, try and get from the teams that only have 1 game this week, because then it's 1 less chance for them to screw you by putting that guy in.
Yeah.
So I think that's a smart move. Get those DNPs out of the way as early as possible, which is honestly the only reason I even thought about that was because of Nolan Norris last week, and I wanted to make sure I didn't get screwed like that again, because I'm a lot more confident in my bench this week. So I really need as many spots open as I can get. Through the midfield, So Ricky Puig, Acosta, and Evander are my 3 starters. And then on the bench, I've got Mihailovic and Carlos Gomez. Mihailovic and Carlos Gomez are on the bench because they're yellow card accumulation. But I honestly, I'm not that worried about either of those two. I think they're going to be fine, but you never know.
Right.
Evander also on yellow card accumulation, but he has the higher upside, and one of them's got to start between the 3. Then up top, Cucho, he's my captain right now. That is subject to change. We'll see. But it's most likely going to stay Cucho. I also thought about Acosta. I just don't love Puig against LAFC tonight, and I think Cucho has the easier matchups. And it's, LA is double home, but they're also not. LAFC is also home. They're at the Rose Bowl. That's not quite the same. So I liked Cucho better for that reason. I also think Cucho is going to ruin Toronto. Then I've got Joveljic, and I had Musa last night when I set all this up, but I actually just switched it to Navarro. I think if Mihailovic doesn't score, Navarro's the one scoring. Cole Bassett really hasn't done a ton lately. I mean, he seems to be in more of a setup role. He's almost like an 8 more than a 10. And Mihailovic is really stepping into that 10 role nicely. So I think having the partnership there, you're going to get the points either way. Because they're going to score a shitload. It's just who's going to do it. So I liked having both of them on the bench because one of them will have big points. And I only got 2 spots open. So if one of them shits the bed, that doesn't hurt me at all. So that is my team this week. John, what do you got?
All right. So I've also got Schulte in goal.
Yeah, we're similar this week.
The numbers so point towards him. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people will have Schulte, honestly. I have Castro on the field, the Seattle goalie, because I told you if I need that
As
second
of right
one.
now, Patrick Schulte is owned by 6% of players. Now, that's last week.
They could not have done their lineup yet, then.
No, yeah. I mean, that's last week.
That's
not this week.
There's no way.
That's odd to me. I'd like to know who everyone has. Is it just everyone has Lurie?
Yeah, I think that's terrible playing against LA Galaxy.
Probably.
But it's Schulte.
Yeah.
Defensively, I have Eneli also.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have Farsi instead of, who did you have, Camacho?
Yeah.
But still a Columbus player. My third player I'm still debating on. Right now it's Brooks Lennon. I'm also thinking about Maxo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of going back and forth. It's a tough decision for me. I like first of all, Atlanta is very good defensively on the road.
Mm-hmm.
They're the only team on the road that allows less than a goal per game. And then the first game's against New England, who scores less than a goal per game at home. They're in last, the first and the last.
Yes.
Plus, I don't like New England's defense, so Lennon could get goals. No more Gigi, which is why Lennon's been better lately offensively. Potentially no Almada. Who knows what his story is anymore?
So I've heard that the transfer went through. I don't know that he's going to be playing in the meantime. I mean, he's not gone, but he has been sold to the Eagle Group, so Botafogo and Leon.
And if that, I wouldn't want him playing. What if he gets hurt if I'm that other team?
No, yeah, that's true. Now, I could see Atlanta being like, hey, you're still under contract, so get your ass out there. You're our DP until you sign someone else.
I don't think it has anything to do. I don't think it's even between Almada and Atlanta. It's between Botafogo and Atlanta.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but Maxo's matchups are really good. And it's funny, in my article this week, I actually have him as my 3.
Mm-hmm.
And Lennon as my 4. But it's difficult. He gets a lot of bonus points, a lot of bonus points. As much or more than Bombito. And Bombito's not there because he's still in Copa America.
Yep.
So if you're taking Colorado, he's the clear guy. He's played the full 90 every single game this season. So he's going to play in both games. And one of the things I didn't talk about with Farsi, when deciding, I know I want a Columbus defender. I know I want a Salt Lake defender. One of the reasons I went with Farsi, he actually seems like the guy that doesn't get rotated.
Yeah.
So that's very important that you want him to play in both games.
Mhm.
Maxo is definitely playing in both games, unless he
Yeah.
gets hurt or anything like that. Hopefully that doesn't happen. So it's between Maxo and Lennon. Lennon also on yellow card watch.
Mhm.
So that could also be a deciding factor for me. Maxo's not. He is. Chance he doesn't play in the second game if he gets a yellow. Some other guys that are worth thinking about, also on yellow card watch, Alba and Wagner. Not on yellow card watch, but guys worth thinking about are Gressel and Yoshida. And I have all of them in my article if you want more information on them. So just hit the site. You can read that article, see why I like them or dislike them. Midfielders. Mihailovic. He's the guy this week. Really. All the numbers defensively point towards Columbus. All the numbers attacking point towards Colorado.
Mhm.
I haven't actually had Mihailovic on my squad once this season.
I did have him once, and it was, hold on, I'll tell you which week it was if I go back through the scores here.
Every time I've had a Colorado player, it's been Bassett. Every single time. I've never, but
it
he's
was week
the guy.
13 because it was against the Whitecaps, and he had 6 points, which is almost his lowest week ever. I mean, he has a couple twos at the beginning of the year, but he had 6 points against Cincinnati. That's week 10. Then didn't play against NYCFC. Then 8, 6, 9, 10, 9, 10, 4 against Austin, 22 against St. Louis, 15, and 5 last.
Yeah, he's the big number guy. Bassett never gets numbers like that. And in a double game week, big number guys have a good chance of at least one of them being a big number game.
Yep.
He also takes their PKs. He takes free kicks. He has more opportunities. So he's the guy. You're going with a Colorado midfielder, and you should be. He's the guy. He's on yellow card watch. Actually could open something for Bassett if you're really scared of the yellow card watch. But that's really the only reason I'd go with him. I mean, he's a definite for me this week. Galaxy, they're the next best team number-wise. And Ricky Puig, I mean, he's a every week guy for me when he's not hurt.
Yeah.
And he had his comeback partial game, so he should be playing full game both games. Acosta and Evander, they're every week players for me now. Even a down game for Acosta, I don't care. He's going to come back. They have good matchups. So I have them in. Evander, yellow card watch. And then my last is probably Carlos Gomez.
Mhm.
I like their double home. There is the chance Arango's not back. Does that help him? Does that hurt him? Who knows? But I like Carlos Gomez a lot. Actually, regardless of with or without
Well,
Arango.
I think if Arango's back, Carlos Gomez assists and stuff, and Arango getting quadruple marked, leaving Carlos Gomez open. I also think, no Arango, Carlos Gomez needs to score some goals, and he knows that, and now he's the guy.
Yeah. So, Puig and Acosta definitely on the field for me. I have 3 midfielders because of the 5-3-2 with the 2 scrubs. They're 2 and 3 for me this week. Between Mihailovic, Evander, and Gomez, 2 of them have to be on the bench, 1 has to be on the field. But 2 of them will be on the bench because of the yellow card watch.
Yeah.
So you might as well put those guys on the bench when you can. You know, they have a great week. You're still going to play them. I also like Santi, Leuven, and Eric Tommy as decent options.
Yeah.
I probably won't play any of them. I like these guys a lot more, but they're guys that are worth discussing. Santi, also yellow card watch. I mean, a lot of chalk are on yellow card watches.
Yeah.
Forwards, Cucho, far and away. I mean, 14, 13, 19, 18.
Yeah.
Those are his last 4 weeks. I said they were all 14 and above. I was wrong. One was a 13. He's a must start with Evander, Puig, Acosta. So, I mean, he's going to be in my lineup every week. He is right now my captain.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't captain the last 2 weeks when I should have. And so this week he'll probably have the letdown.
Yeah.
Because I am captain.
Definitely possible.
If he was a defender, it would be an absolute. Right now I have Arango as my other starter. I will probably move him to the bench if I keep him. Obviously, I'm going to watch the lineup, see if he plays. If he's starting, though, I think Arango at least needs to be on your bench.
I just worry about...
Right, it was a head thing. He gets header goals.
Yeah, I mean, he's a get up in the air striker.
But
He's got
he's
20 stitches on his fucking forehead.
if he's not ready to play, they're not going to start him.
True.
He might dress,
Yeah.
but if they don't start him, then I'm probably going to pull him, which probably makes Gomez even more.
Yeah.
Um,
I have to feel like no matter how much padding you put over that, heading a ball is going to not feel good on 20 stitches. That's so many stitches.
And they might, who knows, maybe they have this thing that's like the mask for your broken nose
Yeah.
people that actually pads you from it. Who knows? And I don't even know that that's legal. One of the LA forwards, Joveljic or Peck. I like Joveljic better. He has bigger weeks than Peck. Peck's probably a little more consistent, but Joveljic has bigger weeks.
Yeah.
So right now he's on my bench. He could see the field. I actually really like Klaus if he didn't get hurt. The matchups are great. I'm thinking about Adeniran.
Mm-hmm.
With the coach being fired, with Klaus out, he should get the time. Adeniran is really good in the little time he's played. Early in the year, we discussed, I told you, I thought Adeniran should have been playing over Klaus.
Yeah.
So he's on, I'm not sure. I like Musa too. So I've got a little more decisions. And Navarro. I mean, Navarro's matchup's great. Problem with Navarro, all of his fantasy points are goal contributions. That's it. He gets no bonus points ever.
Yeah.
He has 3 games which he scored a goal that he had 7 fantasy points or less.
Yeah.
How's that possible? He has 1 game all year that he has over 9 points.
Yeah, no, I was about to say he's double digits once.
One time.
Against San Jose.
And he had 2 goals and an assist and still only got 16 points.
Yeah.
You know, that right there and the 90 minutes is worth 15 of them. He gets no bonus, but he's so goal dependent. But this week, they should score so many goals.
Yeah.
But he's so goal dependent that he's scary. Even when he scores, he doesn't get that many points. Mm-hmm. So he needs at least 2 to 3 goals in this double game week to be a guy that's better than some of these other guys. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm a little scared about him. So I will put my lineup on Instagram when I finally make it before the. It'll probably come out once the lineups come out. I'll finalize it. I'll screenshot it. I'll put it on Instagram so you guys can see.
Yeah.
And that'll be with the most information now, knowing Arango's status, all of that kind of stuff. So, but that's the guys I like. There's a few questions. There's a few guys that I really love. It's funny. This is one of the few weeks I feel very strongly about my keeper and defense. But I did last week too with Red Bull, and I don't know.
So, guys, that's all our predictions. As for betting, I do not have any picks for you right now. But for the Saturday, Sunday games, I am going to put something on Instagram, and then we'll probably put it on the website as well. I'll give you guys the picks for the weekend, but those lines aren't out yet.
Yeah,
so.
And we'll might even throw something on TikTok too.
Yeah.
Where we can actually talk about it briefly instead of just showing it on Instagram, giving actually our explanations and stuff. So that can
we'll
be
get all of that up. But thank you guys for listening. John, anything else you want to tell the people?
Good luck with your picks this week, and always check your lineups.